guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's that time. We are doing our live stream show, and we're gonna record tonight's show. We are actually starting a special on a new streaming service called Waypoint TV. So we're excited to start our Sunday night live stream show and stream it in a new way tonight. So don't forget, we're streaming on Twitch, Trovo, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and now Waypoint TV as well. So every Sunday night right here, Hubbard's Marina, on all those different accounts, you can find our live stream show at 8:30 p.m. Hopefully you guys are ready for a great show. Want to make sure we start out by giving a shout out to all those people sending stars on Facebook. Thank you, Craig Robinson, Mike Hart, Chris Bass, Charmaine Ellis. We've got Stephen Batchelor, Craig Robinson, Richard Blasak. Appreciate all that, guys, all that support. Larry White, you too. Thank you so much. The stars are just a way to kind of show support on Facebook and through our Facebook page, and it helps fuel more cool live shows. What's up, Charlie Polans? Thank you for those stars too, buddy. So, as always, want to give a shout out to Gator Gyms and thank them for bringing you this show. This show is brought to you by Gator Gyms Tackle at 3301 Pinellas Point Drive in South St. Pete, 33712. Give them a shout. Check them out. They have a lot of really, really cool stuff over there and an incredible selection of goods. Barry Long, Philip Brittis, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. As I was saying, we are getting rolling here on our Sunday night live stream show. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to comment and tell us where you're watching from. And if you want a chance to win some of those free trips we're giving away tonight, you do have to comment one time and either let us know where you're watching from, tell us your favorite trip, tell us a story, whatever. Make sure you comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream in order to be eligible to win some of those free trips. Rosemary Shroop, David DeVoe, Rod Barber, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Also, don't forget to share the video with your favorite fishing group on your timeline or wherever your friends are on Facebook. We'd appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. On Instagram, if you're watching on Instagram, you can go onto the browser on your phone, go to Instagram.com, and then find the Hubbard's Marina Instagram account through your phone's browser. You'll be able to turn your phone sideways and see the full screen for our live show. Now, also, tonight is a little bit of a special episode, guys. Not only is it our first episode on Waypoint TV, but tomorrow, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's February 28th. The day after, Tuesday, is March 1st. You know what that is? It's Smokey's 50th birthday. So tonight's a special birthday tribute to the man, the myth, the legend, Old Smokey himself, and we've got some special photos that I think you guys are going to really, really enjoy. So definitely don't want to miss that. So sit back, relax, kick your feet up, and make sure you have your venting tool ready. It's going to be a good show tonight. Brian Eakins, Carl Lovett, Jeffrey Eicher, appreciate those stars. Thank you so much, guys. With that, let's get right into these photos and show you guys what's going on inside the pass and around the area inshore. So we'll get rolling with those inshore photos. And as far as the inshore game goes, as of late, we've been seeing a lot of these flounder. The flounder have been biting pretty good for us around the area. It's that time of year. We typically see a pretty good flounder bite this time of year. It's been a little bit spotty. People who know how to catch them and know how to fish for them, how to find the area you're kind of targeting, we've been seeing some really good flounder options and really good flounder action. But it is one of those things where you got to find that kind of sandier bottom around those structures, those grass flats, around those dock lines, bridges. They hang out and they wait to ambush passing bait. So that's what you're looking for, those sandy areas adjacent to structure that's going to be allowing those flounder to ambush passing bait. So really, really cool eaten fish, really interesting fish, just a little bit tricky to get dialed in on. The trick to flounder is slowing it down. You got to get that lure super, super close to the bottom or right on the bottom in order to have a shot at those flounder. But very cool fish for sure. A lot of redfish lately. The redfish have been doing real well. We seem to have a increase in redfish as of late. That little warming trend seemed to kind of get them excited, and they fed a lot more actively this past week for sure, and got a little bit more aggressive as well. So it was pretty cool to see that. Grass flats, mangrove shorelines, dock lines. Even in the past, we've been seeing some good action on the redfish as of late. Mike Perry, Cap Mike Perry from the Keys. What's up, man? Thanks for those stars. And Felice Padilla, appreciate those stars. Thank you, guys. Here's a redfish from John's Pass. As I said, they are around the... Actually, no, that's not from the pass. That's from Tampa, somewhere in Tampa Bay. But I know there was one in here from the pass. There's one from the flats, definitely at night around those dock lights, producing the redfish too. Around the mangrove shorelines, grass flats, different areas, all good places to find those redfish. Sheep's head action, real good right now. And they should be hanging around for a while until that water starts warming up, which could be pretty quickly if the weather kind of stays like it is now. And we'll talk more about the weather here shortly, but definitely need to pay attention to those sheep's head and try to capitalize on that good bite of sheep's head while you can, while they're still around and still biting well. The jig head method in deeper water works really well, as you can see here. But using a small piece of shrimp and a light knocker rig, or even just simply a split shot and a small piece of shrimp, cut oyster, clams, even fiddler crabs, all great options around local structures, docks, piers, bridges, jetties, all good areas to find those sheep's head. Really actively feeding well as of late. And it's the time of year. It has a lot to do with that cooler water, so you want to make sure you take advantage of it before it's over. Jason Richmond and Danny Nung, appreciate those stars. Also, Sandy Fisher, thank you so much, guys. So, as you can see, the bridges, also a good area to look. I think that's Terra Verde Bridge? No. I don't know what bridge that is, but definitely some big sheep's head around lately. And a good time to target them, for sure. Snook action also this past week picked up for us around our local grass flats, mangrove shorelines, residential canals still cooperating well. Those snook are going to start kind of coming out of the rivers, those river mouths, creek mouths, those kind of entrances to the estuaries and back bays. Going to be good areas to look as the water warms up. They're going to be coming out of those wintertime haunts and start staging up like they did there in the fall, right before they go up into the rivers and creeks for the wintertime. Now they're kind of reversing that pattern and starting to work their ways out a little bit. And if the water temperatures continue to slowly increase, we're going to see that kind of springtime return where the bait returns to the flats, the fish kind of come out of the back bays and come to life, and inshore fishing gets real hot. Water temperatures are right on that lower border, like upper 60s, lower 70s. Once it kind of creeps into that low 70s and stays there, like 70, 71, 72, 73 degrees, the bay comes to life for sure. So we're looking forward to that. Plus, mackerel and kingfish, we're kind of on the doorstep of that too. So definitely an exciting time of year as we wait for that weather to get right and kind of inspire that transitional period. Bobby Marie, appreciate those stars. Thank you. As I was saying, snook really picked up for us. Saw a lot of them around the area. Bonnie Korniak, thank you for those 500 stars. Trout action, been picky, spotty, definitely more tricky to find high concentrations of the trout, but they are around. You just got to work a little harder to find them. Definitely the South Shore, Tampa Bay, Upper Tampa Bay has been cooperating well. Our area from Pinellas Point around to Fort DeSoto, past the Grill, Blinds Pass, Johns Pass, definitely been harder to find the trout as of late, just because of that water quality issue we had recently. It seemed to really affect our local trout, at least. So we'll see. Hopefully they start bouncing back for us a little better, but great to see some nice big ones caught. Now, this one was north of our area, around the intercoastal, definitely from like Clearwater north, and especially like St. Joseph Sound, Crystal River, Homosassa. They have some big, steady trout action, and going a lot better up to our north, where red tide didn't affect them as much, or they didn't get affected by red tide as much. Adam Franklin, Charlie Polans, appreciate those stars. Thanks, guys. So with that, let's get into our nearshore and offshore photos. Work a little deeper. Talk about what's happening out there, guys. So let's see here. Nearshore and offshore, we are catching some of these red grouper. The red grouper bites been spotty, been a little bit trickier, hasn't really been crazy, but we're catching them pretty consistently, especially once we're out there deeper waters, 80 to about 120 foot of waters, where we're really targeting those red grouper and doing pretty well out there, especially certain days when weather and moon phases and all the variables line up, like a recent 12-hour extreme charter trip, private charter. They limited the boat out. Captain Rich and the boys did very well out there. So we have the really good days, and then we have tougher days where we're struggling to put together 10, 12, 20 keeper red groupers, and then we'll have days where we bring home 32 keeper red grouper. So it's a little tricky out there, but we are seeing big mangrove snapper, and that's definitely helping kind of make up for that more spotty but steady red grouper action. And the red grouper on the 10-hour have not really been super prolific. We're catching a handful of them here and there, but the big news is definitely the hogfish. The hogfish bite has been doing very well, and we're definitely catching a lot of those hogfish as of late. And the red grouper, as I was talking about, but the hogfish, and then these guys over here. Josh, can you zoom in on that photo for me a little bit? What Mikey has there in his left hand is a handful of those strawberry grouper, as we call them. Those are red hind, super good eating fish. Or no, those are Graysbees, sorry. But super good eating fish. They don't get very big, so it's nothing like super noteworthy that you want to try to show off and write home about, but they are incredibly good eating, and they range in size anywhere from like 6 to about 12 inches is where you see them most commonly. And we definitely have been seeing some nice size ones for sure as of late, and some good kind of consistency to them, and they are incredibly good eating. So cool to see a lot of those coming up for sure. Plus the mangroves, as I said, we've been seeing some nice solid mangroves, lane snapper too. So in with the hogfish, we're getting plenty of other good eating bycatch as well. But the hogfish are definitely taking the cake as the notable nearshore catch. There she is. There's the Graysbee you write home about. That's a monster. That is a trophy-sized Graysbee, and that's only about maybe 12 to 14 inches. But that's about as big as they get. That's one of the biggest I've ever seen. So they don't get much bigger than that. But incredibly good eating fish. Incredibly good eating. Plus porgies, which are also another great eating fish. And we've been seeing some good ones. This came on I think this was a private fishing charter, but an incredibly large mangrove snapper. Had to be 10 plus pounds. It was super thick. I saw it when it came off the boat. I was like, whoa, a monster mangrove snapper. And we've been seeing quite a few of these mangrove snapper in that size range as well. So pretty awesome to see the large, kind of more steady mangrove snapper bite. Another picture of that big mangrove. And nice hogfish, red grouper, just kind of in the mode right now. Fishing is good, and we're kind of taking it for granted a little bit, but enjoying the weather too. Finally warming up, getting a little bit more consistent on the weather front. So there's a 10-hour red grouper. A lot of juvenile red grouper on the 5 and 10-hour trips. So you got to really sort through the juveniles, but we are getting a couple keepers, just a little bit kind of hit and miss. This one's kind of a unique looking grouper. Look at the head on that thing. Looks like something tried to take a chunk out of it and it survived. Nice mangrove nice hogfish, as I was saying. Just a lot of hogfish lately. Incredible hog bite on the 5 hours, 10 hours. Definitely the 10-hour gives you more time to target them, but we are catching them on the 5-hour half days too. Great time to be out there on the water for sure. So with that, we've talked about inshore, we've talked about nearshore and offshore. I want to give a shout out to Adam Franklin, Charlie Polins, and Michelle Lorenzo. Thank you so much for those stars. But now it's time. We're working our way to what I talked about in the beginning of the show is that special birthday tribute to our good buddy Smokey. Jacob Grant, or better known as Jeb or Smokey, has supplied us with a memory card full of photos. And there's a lot more to this memory card too. There's actually 4 videos, like almost 6 hours of old super grainy footage that was provided as well. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time, so we can't show the video tonight, but we might try to cut that up a little bit and make a little bit of a highlight reel of old school Smokey. But we definitely want to show you these photos. Before we do that, though, we're going to give away our first free trip of the night. Don't forget, you can win free trips during the show. We give away over $800 every episode. In order to win, you have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. And then if you're picked as that lucky winner from the random name generator software, then you have to text us at that phone number right there within about 5 minutes to prove that you're watching live. So you got to be watching live. You got to watch the whole show. You have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. We also ask that you give the video a thumbs up on YouTube, you like it on Facebook, and you subscribe to our channel, like our pages, all that good stuff. But you have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, and then if you're picked, you got to make sure that you text that phone number within 5 minutes to claim your free trip. That's how it works. So let's see who won our first free trip of the night. We're going to give away our 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Let's see who the lucky winner is of that trip. Josh. Thomas Smith. Congratulations, Thomas. Congratulations, Thomas, on that lucky win of our 5-hour half day fishing trip for 2 guests. That is a $150 value. Congratulations, Thomas. We still got a 10-hour trip to give away and a 39-hour trip, so stay tuned, y'all. But Thomas, make sure you text us within about 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. And to claim your free trip, text us your full home address. All right, so without further ado, let's get into these Smokey photos. Can you zoom in on that one a little bit, Josh? Look at that. That is Smokey and his 2 kids. His son is working on his master's degree. He's in that yellow shirt there. So this was quite a while, and his daughter is getting close to graduating college on the right side of that photo. So pretty cool. Long history of fishing together as a family. I've always said families that fish together stay together, you know. It's a fact. Let's see. Also, Smokey's been working with our family business for, he's got to be going on, I think, like 18 years, 17, 18 years. It's been a long time. So he's been in the game for a long time. Before he worked with us, he used to work on other party boats too. So he's worked on, I think he said like three or four party boats, and he worked a couple private charter boats before that. So he has a very long history on the water. And Tuesday, March 1st, he is turning 50 years old. So this is a special tribute to our good buddy Smokey. And he put this together. He's very good about making sure he reminds people. My dad always says, or I think it was my dad, I forget who said it, but people don't really care about your birthday. It's your birthday, you know? But Smokey does a really good job about, hey, what's going on? Well, let's go out. Let's put this together, and putting together a party to make sure we don't forget his birthday. And I appreciate that about him. He's the life of the party in many ways. Now, this photo right here is pretty interesting. The more tan gentleman there is Matt West, one of our crew members, and then Smokey on the other side, who is a little less tan, and both of those guys are crew members. Matt's been working with us for a while as well, so they grew up together, good buddies, and they've been fishing together for a really long time, so it's pretty interesting to look at these old photos. A lot of photos of Smokey holding fish in his house, let me tell you, in these photos. Back in the day when we used to take sharks home, don't do that anymore. But look at old Smokey. He's a good-looking dude. Still is. Just less hair. Look at that trip. He's got big old keeper, red grouper, snook, and redfish. That was a little bit of a long fishing day. Went from offshore to inshore. I love this photo. He was just sitting there watching his bait. There's a few good classics in here, and I just wanted to share these with you guys because, A, it's a cool tribute to kind of our historical fishing around the area, and a good tribute to Smokey and his family, too. So hopefully you guys enjoy the photos. I like how there's so many photos of him and his kids. He's always been big into family and helping kids get hooked on fishing, and nothing has changed about that for sure. Classic Hubbard's Marina right here. Our old school rental rods. We got Smokey holding that big fish. In the white shirt there is Captain Matt Shimp, who was our original long-running overnight trip captain. Captain Matt ran all the overnight trips and long-range trips for a great number of years. I think more than 20. So my Uncle Jeff, my grandfather, Captain Wilson, got the long-range trip started in '67. My Uncle Jeff ran them for a good number of years. Then we had some other guys kind of come in and out, and then Captain Matt took over and ran it until just recently, as of maybe 10, 15 years ago. And he left, retired, enjoyed his time up in Brooksville, and then unfortunately recently passed away. So may he rest in peace, but it's pretty cool seeing the old photo of him. And then right above my head, right here, that's a Dusty's brother, Vince Peterson. And Vince and Jason Peterson, both of Dusty's brothers, used to work with us as well. Now they started their own business, and they're doing really well for themselves. But pretty cool to see historic Hubbard's Marina. Look at that sheep's head killer. This is still a good fishing area. Gandy Bridge at night, especially in the summertime, those snooks start pouring out of there. Big old snook over there. Look at Matt. This is Matt, one of our crew members. Looks like a old model. Same with Smokey. It's crazy. Enjoyable photos, though. Looking back at the history of the man, the myth, the legend. A very fishy dude, Smokey is. See what I mean about all the photos of fish in his house? And then at the end of these photos, we have some funny historical photos of our crew having a good time. And I think I've mentioned this on a past show before, how we got in trouble and almost got... we were at the point where we were getting threatened by John's Pass associations and business owners because we were having big parties out on the sand. if the sand is presenting us with such a problem, we might as well use it for something. And back in the day, we were heavily utilizing it to throw staff parties, maybe a little too often, and mostly inspired by Smokey. But they got to a point, they continued to grow, where Smokey started having his son come out and actually DJ the parties. There's my father, Captain Mark, and Smokey on their couples roller skate. There's Captain Joe and Smokey, young Captain Joe. There's Will and Joe back in the day. There's Smokey and his family, his beautiful better half. There it is. There is the old beach parties. So the sand is kind of come and gone. This was back after the completion of the Johns Pass Bridge, where the sand really started to get bad, and we were really starting to battle it. So we just ended up making a beach party out of it. That's a hammock. You see the hammock in the foreground. One of our crew members made that, probably on a dock day. And there's our DJ booth set up there. And you can probably tell why we got in trouble. And you know that's Smokey's kid because you can see the tip jar. But we got in trouble pretty bad about the beach parties. We eventually had to stop those. Here's some of our staff parties. We tried to do that springtime crawfish boil. I wanted to do it again this year, but unfortunately kind of failed on planning. Here is a photo of that beach, one of those beach parties. You can see why it presented a problem to John's Pass business. But pretty fun times, and great look back into history. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I know looking through those photos, I died laughing. I'll post all those up to our supporters group if you guys want to take a closer look. Check that out for sure. So with that, let's talk a little bit about weather, and then we're going to get into your questions. As we do every live show, we show you what's going on, talk about what's coming up. Then we get into the weather, and then we answer your question live. So let's see what the weather's doing and what we're looking forward to this upcoming week. So we're going to start with the 5 and 10 hour forecast area on Windfinder. And as you can see here, we're looking at a little bit of an increase in wind, but not too much. Mondays about 10 to 15, less than 2 foot of seas. We're looking at the inshore 5 and 10 hour area right now. And then as we get down into Tuesday, it looks like my mouse isn't cooperating. Yeah, there we go. Tuesday, scroll up a little bit for me. Yeah, right there. So 15 knots, 2 foot, basically 2 foot or less. Wednesday, same thing, about 15 knots, 2 foot, 15 mile an hour, so even better, and about 2 foot. So not a bad week of weather, but not flat calm like it has been the last week. So we've been a little spoiled with beautiful weather conditions, and it's getting a little bit more sporty, but not bad. Thursday kind of calms down a little bit and gets a little bit nicer, and then Friday that high pressure starts to try to build back, and then Sunday that high pressure settles in a little bit but doesn't really get nasty. So the next 7 days weather looks pretty good near shore. Not terrible, definitely fishable, and hopefully we're going to get some good opportunities to catch plenty of fish. Offshore, deeper waters, you can kind of see it a little bit more drastically, what the weather's going to be doing, and you can see here kind of the higher wind points are kind of Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then over the weekend as that high pressure settles in. But still, even deep water, the bumpiest I see during the week is Wednesday with about 3.5 foot, and then it's about 2 to 3 foot the rest of the week until we get into late Saturday. Once that high pressure settles in, it gets to about 3.5, 4 foot, maybe a little bit more than that Saturday. But still, overall, less than 4 foot for the next 7 days. Offshore, less than 2.5 foot for 7 days near shore. So we're really looking forward to some beautiful weather and some great fishing opportunities. We're coming up on the new moon. The new moon is Wednesday. The new moon typically brings more water movement and a better daytime bite. So We're hoping for some good fishing this week. We've kind of got an occluded front hanging out around the area, some confused weather patterns and ridges. Those are going to get pushed out of the area as a high pressure settles in later this week. And then behind that high pressure, we get a little cold front that tries to push down, but it clears the high pressure, but it doesn't really make it here. And then another high pressure settles in behind that. So that's kind of what we're seeing, is a lot of up and down this week of the barometer, a lot of barometer moving, a lot of pressure ridges throughout the area. Nothing real crazy to mess up the weather or cause high winds or high waves. So a moving barometer, new moon. We should see a pretty good bite through this week. And we've got that water temperature creeping up. We're going to see those mackerel showing up soon down in Sarasota, off Venice, and down off Fort Myers. Been hearing reports of the mackerel already there, some bait showing up. So those things are going to start moving up the coast as water temperatures start to warm up. So looking forward to that for sure. We're kind of on the doorstep of that springtime push of bait showing up, mackerel showing up, kingfish showing up, cobia, and then we'll see the occasional billfish out there in deeper water. Blackfin tuna still around, still an option as well. So it's an exciting time of year for sure. Upcoming events, before we get into questions, we've got March 12th, Saturday, March 12th, we've got our Norm Schwarzkopf Memorial Shoot benefiting the Children's Home. That's with the Real Animals, and that event is, again, Saturday, March 12th. At Tampa Bay Sporting Clays. You can go to realanimals.com, click the sponsors page, scroll to the bottom. You'll see the logo for the Children's Memorial Home. You can click that, get all the information about the event. There's going to be free breakfast, free lunch, a bunch of free stuff as a part of the event. You can join and make your own shooting team and compete against us at the Real Animals and everybody else at the memorial or at the charitable event. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Food, guns, and free stuff. Can't beat that. Plus, benefiting a great charity at the Children's Home. Then the following day, Sunday, March 13th, we're going to be at Bass Pro Shops for a 2 p.m. fishing seminar. So really cool opportunity to join us not only Saturday for some sporting clays and then Sunday for Bass Pro Shops at 2 p.m. to talk fishing. So going to be a fun weekend that weekend. Then March 24th, we've got the CCA Tampa banquet. At that event, Captain Mike Anderson and myself are going to be the guests of honor at that event. So very blessed and honored to be a part of it. And if you go to the event, you actually have the option to enter that captain's table raffle. And if you win, you get to share that table, that captain's table, where you get a bunch of really cool giveaway items and eat dinner with Captain Mike, myself, and our better halves. So it's going to be a lot of fun that night too. Then April 19th, we've got our Bartow Ford fishing conversation. I am going to be talking with Mike Mahoney, and Mike Mahoney and I, the infamous Mike Mahoney and I, are going to be talking about nearshore and offshore fishing. It's going to be a lot of fun, and definitely going to be an interesting event. Plus free food, free giveaways, so don't miss out. April 19th. With that, let's get into some questions and see what you guys want to talk about. Robert Holzhauser, appreciate those stars, buddy. Thank you so much. So with questions, let's see here. Is there a way to get catch packed and shipped up north? Yes, we do offer, we don't offer. We work with our friends over at Wild Seafood, who offer to pack and ship your fish and your catch after your trip. So you can actually go fishing with us, come back. Our crew will offer a fish filleting service, and then you can take that fish that's already filleted next door to our restaurant, and our restaurant offers to cook up your fresh catch after your trip. So you can take the fish next door and have them cooked up fresh and take them home to eat them that night or eat them at the waterfront deck of the restaurant. It's a great opportunity to enjoy fresh caught fish. Or you can walk down to Don's Dock and the Wild Seafood Market, and they will actually offer to pack and ship your fish. It is pricey. What I found out from those guys over there at Wild Seafood is they actually will recommend and try to encourage you to just have them package free. They'll freeze and package your fish in a box, in a carry-on size box, and they'll walk you through how you can actually fly home with your fish, because of shipping fees and because you're shipping raw, unprocessed meat through the mail. There's a lot of kind of bureaucracy surrounding that, and the way you have to mail it is very expensive, upwards of $100, $125. So if it's only a little bit of fish, it makes more sense to either eat it fresh at the restaurant or package it and take it as a carry-on on the flight. Then you're only talking the carry-on package fee and then the package fee of them packaging it up. So you're saving quite a bit of money if you're carrying it on the flight yourself. You just got to kind of deal with airport security, which can be trying at times, but definitely going to be more affordable than trying to ship your fish home. As someone commented on Facebook, Larry White said it's $235 that he priced out to ship his most recent catch to New York. So it does get pricey to ship those fish. So I would recommend thinking about packaging them and then taking them as a carry-on. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Someone said there's an echo on the live show. That's not good. We will look into that. Appreciate you bringing it to our attention. I think maybe it was just at the beginning, but hopefully that's solved. Can you use spider wire in a bait caster for a 10-hour trip? You can use braided line. We would just ask that you use a top shot with that braided line. As long as you're using a top shot, as about a third of your line in the water should be that top shot. So if you're fishing 100 foot of water, you should be using like a 20-30 pound fluorocarbon, or 20-30 foot piece of either fluorocarbon or monofilament, and that's going to help solve any or most of the issues you would have with losing fish, getting hooked up, reeling up, and then the fish comes unbuttoned, because braided line doesn't have stretch. So adding that top shot is like a shock absorber. You wouldn't want to drive your vehicle without shocks or without a suspension system. The same thing with fishing offshore. You don't want to fish vertically up and down for those offshore species without a shock absorber or a suspension system in your tackle setup. And that's just simply adding that top shot. It is a great way to allow for that shock absorption and prevent fish from being able to tear a hole in the side of their face to spit your hook. Super frustrating when you finally get hooked up and you got that fish to bite, you got them hooked, you got them up off the bottom, and then all of a sudden it just comes unbuttoned. And that happens more often when you're fishing straight braided line. If you put in a top shot, it's going to happen a lot less often. So that's the reason behind the top shot. Plus, if you get tangled, you feel that line starting to rub on someone else, I like reeling up as quick as I can until I feel pressure or tension. And then once I feel tension, I stop and try to figure out what's going on. But if you feel your line start to cross with someone else, if you can try to retrieve as much of the line as you can, a lot of times you're going to be tangled. If you do get tangled, you're going to be tangled with your top shot to their line. So then it's mono to mono, and you can actually undo it. If your braid gets tangled with somebody else's, first thing we do is have to cut the braid, because it's almost impossible to undo braided line tangles. It's much more difficult, at least. So you got to use a top shot to prevent losing fish and to make it easier if you happen to get tangled. Plus, it's going to help you catch more fish, because that braided line is going straight to your swivel. Definitely looks less natural, and will prevent the smarter, more leader-shy fish from biting in a lot of cases. So you want to try to use that top shot for a variety of reasons. What happens if you lose an anchor on a 39 or 44-hour way offshore? A lot of money. They are very costly, but we do have backup anchors on the vessels for that reason. Most of the time, it's a good idea to have at least 2 anchors. Most of our boats have 3 anchors, not so much just for fishing, but it's also a safety thing as well, because an anchor is a safety tool. When you reach rough weather or when something crazy happens, you got to be able to anchor up. And if you lose an anchor, you want 2 anchors. And if you get in really, really rough weather, it's a good idea to have 2 anchors. So we always have multiple anchors on the boats. And when we lose one, that's what they're there for. We don't have that as often on, like, say, day trips. So, like, the friendly fisherman doesn't have multiple anchors because they're never more than an hour and a half, 2 hours from shore. And a lot of times the backup anchor isn't quite as large as our primary anchor. So if we do put a backup anchor on, we still have a lot of problems trying to get the boat to stay on a spot and not drag the anchor and stuff like that. Because the main anchor is brought on with 10, 12 guys and set up with oftentimes unloaded from a truck with a forklift, and they're a lot heavier. Whereas our backup anchor obviously can't be like that because there's only 3 or 4 crew members on the trip. So the backup anchor is always a little lighter just for that reason, to allow us to maneuver it. So it does present a challenge when we lose anchors. So we really work hard on trying to avoid losing anchors. What is the best month for red grouper on a 39-hour trip? Red grouper bite all year round. I would say the best time for red grouper is this time of year when we're fishing primarily for red grouper on those 39-hour trips. January, February, March, April, May. That's really our primary focus, is red grouper and mangrove snapper. So you're going to get more of them because we're more focused on them. June and July, we're focused on red snapper. Then August, September, October, November, December, we're more focused on the gag grouper. So definitely first half of the year would be your best option if you wanted to target red grouper on those 39-hour trips. When does red grouper season end? Red grouper doesn't have a season. They have a quota that might get filled up this year. So there's no season for red grouper, so the season's not going to close. But what could happen is if the quota fills up, then they have to close it due to the quota being filled or projected to be filled. So that's most likely what we're going to see this year, is a closure as early as August or as late as like November is what I'm guesstimating, but I don't know. Time will tell on that, but there is no red grouper season. Gag grouper season starts June 1st and it's open to the end of the year. Hopefully this year, at least. Next year we're going to see dramatic cuts in the gag grouper season, unfortunately. Red snapper season, as far as that question goes, it's always June 1st, and we should see it open for about 62 to 70 days would be my guess. So it'll open June 1st, and it will run until early August, and then it will be closed. So make sure you book early because those spots will fill up. How deep is the water on a 39-hour trip? We're fishing anywhere from about 120 to 250 foot of water on average. That's generally the area that we're working. And once April rolls around, we'll be fishing closer to that 200-foot mark more often because triggerfish are opening up March 1st. And in April and May, we'll fish a little deeper, trying to target those fat red grouper, scamp grouper, big mangroves. And then in June and July, we'll be fishing out there in deeper water too, targeting the big red snapper and gag grouper as well. Do hogfish prefer shrimp on the bottom, or will they take white or will they take white bait like most snappers? So a hogfish is not a snapper. It's in the wrasse family, and no, they do not really like white bait or thread fins, or they primarily eat crustaceans. So sand fleas, rock shrimp, fiddler crabs, normal shrimp, those are what we use to target the hogfish and have more success for sure. With that, let's go ahead and give away our first free trip of the night. Our first free trip of the night or second free trip of the night. Josh, you're right. Sorry. 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Let's see who won our 10-hour all day for 2 guests. That is a $200 and some odd dollar value, about $240. Let's see who won a 10-hour all day trip for 2 guests. I'm seeing a lot of questions. I guess you should let the drum roll end. Doug Mays, congratulations from Lutz, Florida. Make sure you text us at that phone number in order to claim your free trip. Your full home address. You got to text us within 5 minutes to claim that free trip, Doug Mays. So make sure you do so, and don't forget, it's got to be quick. I'm seeing a lot of questions in the comments on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Trovo, Twitch. You guys got to text us your comments. If you have questions, you got to text us your comments. We're streaming to 6 different streaming services, and a lot of the comments get drowned out because there's a lot of people commenting. So in order to have your questions answered live during the show, you got to text us at that phone number. So that way your question won't disappear. It'll be in our inbox for us to try to get to. So make sure you text in your questions if you want them answered during the show. One other question is, any advice for someone slow pitch jig fishing for their first time? My advice would be just try to watch some of the videos. We have our video coming out. Hopefully it'll be out it might be on our YouTube page right now. I don't know. It's supposed to be done by this weekend. Hoping that it will be done by tomorrow. We're waiting on that slow pitch jigging trip video, and there's going to be a lot of helpful information there. And we're going to add that to our fishing tips and tricks page as well. So we'll have a video on our YouTube channel soon, but that's definitely where I would start. And then just get out in the water and try it. A 39-hour trip offers plenty of opportunities to stay out there and kind of do a lot of different checking and trying to figure it out. And there's a lot of people who fish our trips that are very experienced slow pitch jig fishermen. So you can always talk to people on the party boat trips or watch other people do it. Do a 12-hour extreme trip. Captain Rich, who runs a lot of those trips, and if he's not running the trip, he's working as the first mate on that boat. He is an experienced jig fisherman too. So you could privately charter a 12-hour trip on the Flying Hub 2 with Captain Rich as well and get a one-on-one slow pitch jigging school. So there's a lot of different ways, but I would say the best way to start would simply be just getting out there and trying it. And there's a lot of different intro levels, combos, setups that you could start out with. And we can talk more about that. If you stop by our shop, we have all the jigs. We have all the assist hooks, split rings, tackle, toolboxes, jig rolls, rods, and now reels. We have the Daiwa Saltiga Daiwa Saltiga 35JH, the high-end jigging reel. We've got some Saltist 15, 20, 25s. We've got the slow pitch jigging reels and rods and all the tackle you need now in our shop. So very excited about that. David Moss asked about a great place to stay. I would check out our Where to Stay page. We have this beautiful new Where to Stay page. Josh can show you right here on our website. Right at the top, you'll see Where To, and underneath Where To, you'll find the Where to Stay page, and that will actually show you all the local hotels that we recommend and we work with. And we kind of stratify them north, middle, and south so you know where in Pinellas County you're looking. And it's all laid out there nicely. You can click on the hotel and it will take you right to their website. So really cool way to find a good place to stay right through our website. So go to Where To when you're booking your trip or thinking about coming down, because it'll show you where we recommend to stay, and then also where we like to drink, where we like to hang out, where we like to eat, all of that. So pretty cool. Let's see, what other questions do we have? It's time for Captain Worldwide. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. That came up from last week's show as we were talking about all the new streaming services. Someone asked, is Captain Mark still taking out trips? Yes, he is. He is currently in Puerto Rico, traveling around with my little sister, who seemingly always is traveling around. But yes, he does still run the boats occasionally. He's just more focused on doing other things up at our property. He has some property in Floral City, and they have some permaculture, agricultural stuff going on up there. I'm not as involved up there because got a lot going on here, but that's kind of his baby right now, is working up at the farm. And they have some VRBOs and Airbnbs up there, so you can actually rent a place on the farm property and go exploring through the property. It's pretty cool. Check it out, Wonderfield Farms, if you're interested. When does your premier ladies fishing team have their first tournament? Their first tournament they're going to be involved in is the Grunt Hunt coming up in Madeira Beach. So that's I think it's an Old Salts tournament hosted at the Madeira Beach Municipal Marina, and that is going to be our lady angler fishing team, the Naughty Girls, their first tournament. So we're excited about that. Are pinfish back for trips? Yes, we've been all of a sudden catching a lot of pinfish. Finally, the pinfish are making it a little easier on us. So we've been definitely catching a lot more pinfish, and they're a lot more readily accessible as long as the weather allows. Can you only, let's see here. Can only compare to freshwater. Why do fishing licenses and or seasons start and stop mid-year? Why not January to December for year to date? My state, March 1st is when new year licenses are required. So there's a lot of different reasons why, and I think it changes a lot. I mean, freshwater is a little different, especially when you're talking about a lake, because lake management is an enclosed system. Fish can't leave the lake and come back. They can't migrate, and you don't have a bunch of different states accessing that lake. We share the Gulf of Mexico with 5 different states, and our federal waters are home to a commercial fishery. We've got a recreational fishery. We've got charter boats, party boats. We've got a lot of different stakeholder groups at play too. So there's a lot of different bureaucracy and involvement and stakeholder interaction in the Gulf. So it extremely complicates saltwater fishing regulations. And there's a lot of politics at play too, unfortunately, which further muddies the water and makes things more tricky as well. So I can only say that. Beyond that, it's a larger conversation, but that's why it is more tricky, and the seasons will start and stop mid-year. And a lot of times, if you don't have a lot of access, instead of saying, all right, you can't fish for them, well, here's a few months you can fish for them. So there's no way when the quota's lower because a fishery is being more heavily pressured or believed to be a little less healthy, they'll lower the quota, but still allow us access by giving us shorter seasons. If we said, oh, we want a 12-month season or nothing, there'd be a lot of fish we couldn't fish for. So there's a lot of fishermen that fish the Gulf of Mexico. There's 1,289 federal permits, federal refish permits for charter boats and party boats. There's 837, I believe, commercial permits for commercial fishermen in the Gulf of Mexico. So there's about 2,000 commercial operations, whether a charter business or party boat business or a commercial fishing boat out there in the Gulf of Mexico, plus 5 Gulf states with private recreational fishermen who are going out there in their own private boats too. So a lot of people accessing the Gulf, so those quotas get eaten up pretty quickly. So seasons are unfortunately only going to continue to shrink as more and more people access the Gulf of Mexico. So the commercial fishery already did it with their IFQ system and their vessel monitoring. They really tried to get accountable, sustainable, and prove, hey, you can monitor our boats, you can strap a camera to our boats, a GPS detector on our boats, You can come watch us offload every single fish, and we can weigh every single fish. So we know without a shadow of a doubt, this is what we caught, this is what we are allowed to catch, and we stayed within our management targets and within our goals. They're the most highly regulated fishery out there is commercial fishing. Then charter boats and party boats, starting Tuesday, we have to have vessel monitoring systems. So every vessel that's out there in the Gulf of Mexico with federal reef fish permits, charter boats, party boats, are going to have that vessel monitoring system. We got to report before we leave the dock, report before offloading fish, or within 30 minutes of landing, what we caught, how many people we had, how much fuel we burned, where we fished, and then that GPS monitoring system too. So we're all working very hard on these data collection tools to allow us more access as access continues to shrink, because there's only a little bit of pie, there's only a certain amount of pie, and as more people come up to try to eat that pie, the slices are going to get smaller and smaller. And that's the problem that we face as more and more people move down here and enjoy the beautiful beaches and our great fishery. It's a good problem to have. Our fishery is so awesome, more people want to be involved with it. So that is some of the reasons why quotas cause weirder seasons. And you have to be a part lawyer to be involved in our offshore fishery, unfortunately. Question for the live stream. I'm bringing my son, he's 16, out on a fishing trip next weekend. We're doing a regular 5-hour trip towards the end of our stay, but maybe looking for a longer trip this Friday or Saturday, catch some bigger fish. What do you recommend for a trip for mahi, redfish, or bigger snapper? I would say probably a 12-hour night mangrove snapper trip would be a good option, or a half-day trip, private charter on the hub. Also, you could do a inshore private charter with one of our partners at the Real Animals. So right on our website, if you click private charters, you can scroll down to inshore fishing, and there's Captain Mike's information, and you can actually book an inshore private charter from the website information as well. So you could do that. You could do the 12-hour night mangrove snapper trip. You could book a private charter with us, near shore, offshore, or you could go to the East Coast and try to hunt those mahi, because you asked about mahi. We don't really have mahi in the area right now. They're starting to show up in the Keys, and we might see a couple of them this winter or this summertime, but it's not really a directed fishery here in Central West Florida. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Any updates on the sand? Nope. Still hurry up and wait. The state appropriated funds. Now we're just waiting on ways for those funds to be matched so the dredge project could get started. So no news on the sand issue, unfortunately, but I appreciate you continuing to bring it up and keeping it at the forefront. What is the biggest decision that has been made for charter captains in the last 12 months on catch limits? Biggest, most notable decisions going on right now, the red grouper, gag grouper, and amberjack. They're talking about almost closing down amberjack and gag grouper, and then red grouper, the quota shifted, and they brought more quota to recreational anglers, but because of the issues with data collection in the recreational industry, where there's a lot of people out there, but there's no way of telling how many people are out there. There's this thing called MREP, and it's a survey, and without getting really into the weeds, basically they're trying to make data collection better, but I don't like surveys and estimations. I like census-based data where everybody says, this is what we caught, and we can prove it through our vessel monitoring systems, our daily electronic reports, and that's what we're moving to in the charter boat industry. That's what they already have in the commercial industry. But unfortunately, when we talk about all the recreational fishermen on the water, it's impossible to have the same style of reporting that matches up with all the bureaucracy that surrounds validation and data currencies and all the political back end of things. So long story short, red groupers in a situation where they changed the way they collect data, which is showing that we're catching bigger red grouper more quickly and we're catching exponentially more of them. So all of a sudden our seasons, even though we got more quota and a bigger share of that quota, they moved a lot of the quota from commercial to recreational. The seasons still shrink, and it's not a season, it's just the fishery closes because we reached that quota. And I talked about it earlier, how I think it's probably going to close as early as August or maybe as late as November or not at all, but instead of being 12 months like it has been for the last number of years. So that would be the most notable, I think, is the red grouper and the fact that we're looking at potential like almost no access for amberjack and gag grouper coming up. With that, we've got some more good questions that I wish we had more time for, but unfortunately, we are getting to the end of the show. We're running out of time here, guys, so I will try to answer some of these questions as much as I can after the show by texting you guys back for those of you who texted in your questions to our phone number. And then the rest of them, tune in again next week. Ask us again next week. We do these live stream shows every week, Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. We also got our radio show every Saturday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Fox Channel 13 News. We've got our, the radio show is on News Radio WFLA 970. And then every Friday morning we have our Fox 13 News segment. I apologize. I'm running on like 8 hours of sleep for the last 4 days. Been a little bit of a crazy weekend. My son goes to Blessed Sacrament, a local school around the Marina in our house, and they do a carnival to raise money every year, and parents have to donate 15 hours of service at these carnivals. So I worked all day Friday, then worked the carnival from 5 to 11, did a radio show Saturday morning, then went back to the carnival to work till 11 p.m. again, and then worked all day today. I am burnt, so I'm a little out of sorts tonight, so I apologize. But we'll be back again next week for an even better show, and hopefully you enjoyed tonight's episode as well. Don't forget our supporters after show, our private supporters after show for those of you in our supporters group on Facebook is going to be starting at around, let's say, 9:55 tonight. So if you're a supporter, make sure you hop on over to the supporters after show. Don't want to miss out on that. We're going to answer more questions. It's kind of a little bit more one-on-one since there's not so many supporters. So great way to ask more questions, get more communication, and more behind-the-scenes information. You can become a supporter today. Check out the top of our Facebook page, and there's a button you can hit to become a supporter tonight. Also, don't forget about Gator Gyms. Thank you to Gator Gyms for sponsoring the show and bringing you the show. All our shows are sponsored by Gator Gyms Tackle at 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to our other friends and sponsors and partners at Real Animals, Garmin, Yamaha, Bass Pro, Engel Coolers, Salt Strong, Aquatic Nutrition, Sport Fishing Chums, Cleanse Oil, and Bull Bay Rods. Don't forget to check out Hubbard's Marina on TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, the Nextdoor app, Waypoint TV, Trovo, and Twitch. That's a mouthful, Josh. We should speed that up somehow.
Yeah, we definitely need to. Well, I can make a sound clip here, and I'll just push the button every time at the end of the show.
Yeah, I like it. Also, guys, don't forget to join us next week again for another live stream show. Don't forget to wish Smokey a happy birthday Tuesday. And hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Let's see who won our 39-hour fishing trip for one guest. 39-hour trip for one guest, $449 value goes to Cody Dillard from Lando Lakes. Congratulations, Cody. Remember, if you're picked as one of those lucky winners, you got to text us within 5 minutes to prove that you're watching live. Also, guys, don't forget to join us again next week for another episode every Sunday night right here at 8:30 p.m. Don't forget about our Saturday morning radio shows and our Friday morning news segments, and hopefully you'll join us for some of our upcoming events. You can go to CaptainDylanHubbard.com, click upcoming events to see a full calendar of all upcoming events that we're doing and local events. Don't forget to check that out too. And we'll see you soon inside John's Pass at Hubbard's Marina, inside fish famous John's Pass at Hubbard's Marina. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching.